Good evening, everybody, or good morning, depending on where most of us are. But welcome to our official Bodyslam.net Double or Nothing 2022 post show. It was a long show. It was a interesting show.
Yes.
I'm Mike Hamley, joined for the first time. Finally, I've been waiting to work with him. Kyle Sparks, one of the hosts of our lovely Code of Honor podcast here on Bodyslam. And yeah, Kyle. Interesting show.
Yeah. First off, thanks for having me on to do this with you. Like I said, I've wanted to work with you a number of times as well. I appreciate your new venture with Indeed, and so as a fellow indie wrestling aficionado, that's good to see. And wow, this one just kept going.
Yeah. So including the buy-in, 13 matches, and the buy-in match happened at like 7:45 p.m. Well, Eastern's, like 15 minutes before the actual, pay-per-view show. So really, it was like 13 straight matches because they didn't put that tag match anywhere close to the beginning of the buy-in. I guess it makes sense though, obviously, because like it'd be weird to do the tag match at 7:00. The building's half empty, and then everyone cools off before the show even starts and forgets it happened. So, but
sure,
that was a fun match though. Hookhausen versus Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling.
It was about everything you wanted it to be. Hook got to show off and do his thing. Danhausen got to do his thing, which is a marked departure from Hook's thing. And it's a fun odd couple dynamic.
Absolutely, really, really is. And it was nice because we got the little training vignette leading up to this. So seeing that Danhausen's training paid off in the match, and he didn't get completely murdered the whole time he was in the ring. Smart Mark Sterling with the most interesting gear of the night by far.
It to me, because I'm an older fan, it brought back a lot of vibes of. Remember when they did Hulk Hogan teaming with Mean Gene Okerlund?
Oh Jesus! Yeah. Well, he's a lord. He's got to keep it conservative, I guess.
It gave me that. It gave me those kind of vibes of just Gene's ridiculous workout outfit, and if you want a wrestling lawyer, then you got to go get the barrister R.D. Evans. That's all I'm saying.
Oh God. Yeah, no. So we had Hookhausen picking up the win here. It was what the match was supposed to be. We wanted a fun little lighthearted tag match. Get everyone in the building a little fired up. Start the night off happy. One of the handful, if that, of babyface wins on the night. So
yeah, that was well, and we'll get to that as the show goes on. But there's really no other option with this. I mean, you certainly weren't going to put Nese and Sterling over here, and
no,
and it's going to be fun to see where this goes, because Taz made reference to it on commentary that Hook takes a while to warm up to people, and but he seems to have warmed up to Danhausen somehow.
Absolutely.
The only thing that I was sad about is, where is Danhausen's jar of teeth?
Yeah. Well, maybe he's running low. Britt Baker's been a little busy. Who knows? Not a lot of extractions.
Could be. I mean, you've made it such an integral part of his gear and his entrance video. Like, to those who didn't see his stuff in Ring of Honor or in other places, you got to be thinking, why the teeth? None of that doesn't make sense. But maybe we'll get there.
There's some lore here, people. There's some lore. That's the thing. Like, there's if you don't have your ROH knowledge, or you don't watch a lot of indie wrestling, like when someone like Danhausen with a very particular character comes in, there's some disconnect that I trust that they'll he's from Detroit, so I would imagine with that Detroit debut coming up at the end of June, maybe we get a little more Danhausen stuff going on in the next few weeks to kind of lead up to him. I'd have to imagine he might have a little match in his hometown.
That could work. The short version of the lore is that because teeth are something that is found in a human body, teeth are not illegal as a foreign object.
Yeah.
Therefore,
exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm seeing some of the comments here. If you do not have your ROH knowledge, we've got a podcast for that.
Absolutely.
Myself and Kylie will plug that continually throughout the show, I'm sure. But we talk about all things ROH, and Danhausen will probably come up at some point or another.
Absolutely. A lot of ROH that a lot of faces that might be familiar to the ROH audience throughout this show. So I really like the finish here too. Very nice of Hook to tag Danhausen in to come get the cover like that. But then we jump to the actual meat and potatoes, the main card. We opened it up with the match that we're happy to have actually got to see, Wardlow versus MJF, which that's basically dominated everything to do with wrestling news for the last 27 or 8 hours now, right? Roughly. Whenever the meet and greet yesterday started, about then, that's when the shit kind of just hit the fan on the Bird app.
Early yesterday evening, so yeah, we're probably around the 30-hour mark or thereabouts.
Yeah, that was some pretty interesting circumstances. Obviously, the quick fill-in is MJF no-showed his meet and greet yesterday. He apparently had a flight booked, back to Newark. Didn't end up getting on it. Did end up showing up to the pay-per-view. Did end up wrestling Wardlow. I use the term wrestling Wardlow very loosely. It was Kyle. How many power bombs did Wardlow hit MJF with?
At least 10.
10.
Yeah.
10.
He did promise. He did promise friend of wrestling media Doc Muller from Bleacher Report in their interview this past week that he was going to hit 10 power bombs, and by God, that's what he did.
I really like the way he did it with the fingers in the match too, calling back to the way Sean Spears counted the lashes in the contract signing with the. That was, yeah. Not really. There's like a lot to discuss about this match, but almost none of it has to do with the match because the match itself was like MJF just running from Wardlow for the better part of 5 minutes or so, and then he finally got his hands on the little fucker and just annihilated him.
That was that. I did say on Twitter, and I'll reiterate it here in case you don't follow me on Twitter, and if you don't, why not?
It's right there. Go to it. Some of my favorite wrestling takes come from Kyle.
Oh, thank you, man. I did say at one point during the show, this feels like sort of a turning of the page for MJF's career and or character. At this point, I'm operating under the assumption that whatever contract hubbub caused this whole blow up, that it was a little overblown and that he's still hanging around for the foreseeable future. But this very much felt like a closing of one chapter and an opening of the next into who MJF is as a character. Because you saw everything that worked like a charm for him for the last 3 years systematically fail one after another after another. He went to run and hide and it didn't work. He went for the dynamite ring and it didn't work. He went to beg off and it didn't work. Wardlow's now no longer there. Everything that built MJF over the last 3 years either failed or is gone. So assuming that the contract situation is at least relatively smoothed over and he's hanging around for a while and Wardlow didn't just powerbomb him off to Titan Tower, then it's going to be very interesting to see how MJF responds to this.
Absolutely. And mentioning the things that he would be like his go-tos that failed, Did I get like really, really high, or did like we not even see a Sean Spears attempt at all?
Zero. There was zero Sean Spears. That is some poor accountability buddying, frankly. And I am
Absolutely.
disappointed.
Absolutely. He's probably getting a pay cut. But yeah, MJF stretchered off through the crowd. Moving on to
getting oxygen over his nose and eyes for some reason.
You gotta let those eyes breathe, you know.
Well, Matt Sydal might be able to do that. I don't know.
Oh God, yeah. Also love Matt Sydal. And then so next up we had the Hardys taking on the Young Bucks. This was an interesting match. Like the pacing of it felt off in the early going to me, and it largely I think just had to do with the fact that somehow Jeff Hardy's boot like exploded. And yeah, but towards the back half of that match, there was a little section in there where the Hardys or the Bucks had Matt Hardy isolated in the ring, and Jeff was like disposed of on the floor. And apparently, while he was out of frame, I saw a tweet from Brian Alvarez saying that they were trying to fix his boot. And yeah, like from that point after he got back in the ring, like things started to pick up. So like clearly I'm gonna guess it had to be the boot and didn't have anything to do with the poetry and motion kick. Because that looked fucking gnarly, by the way, though. Like,
oh yeah. At first I genuinely thought he was concussed coming out of that. And because it was rough, but no, it was clearly a boot, and it made the thing kind of feel like a tale of two matches. You know, the early going was a little disjointed because of all of that. It probably caused a lot of audibles, a lot of changing on the fly, which Matt and the Bucks have all been in the business long enough that you can wing that, and it'll still turn out as good or better than a lot of matches going to plan. But it's also two teams that they haven't met in a long time, but they do have history. They referenced it on the Hardys lower third. I referenced it on my Twitter as well. This is the 7th time these two teams have met in straight one-on-one tags, or 2-on-2, I guess. But you know what I'm getting at, team on team.
Yeah.
And the Hardys picking up the win here would make them, by my count, 4-2-1, or according to AEW's count, 5-2. There's some discrepancy there, but it would appear that the Hardys kind of have the Bucks number.
AEW is ignoring that double pin, I see.
Apparently.
Interesting.
They're just chalking it up to the Hardys. I don't know about all that noise.
This match, it's exactly what you said, though. Tale of two matches. Like the front half, like until it seemed like that boot got fixed, it was like, okay, a lot of juggling things around. But like as soon as that boot got strapped up, holy shit. I really like, obviously they're quite familiar with each other. This is their 7th match in total now. So a lot of it was like knowing each other's shit and just reversing it, finding ways out of it, using each other's shit. They teased that Meltzer driver on the stairs, and I'm so happy that didn't turn into one, because holy fuck, that would have been horrible. Also, I'm like, where would Nick Jackson have even landed?
Well, and it turned into a swanton on those same stairs that I genuinely was terrified watching Jeff go up for that, honestly.
Yeah,
because his swantons have been kind of hit or miss, honestly. And
the one he hit even in the ring earlier in the match too, that I think Matt Jackson rolled out of the way and he just landed like he ended up rotating right at the end, but he rotates so late on that. I hold my breath even more now, because I know he's not doing it the same as he used to 20 years ago. So like the later and later he rotates, the more and more I just like progressively shit myself every time he does this.
Well, that impact's got to be nasty on your lower back and your hips, and the Hardys are getting up there. Jeff is older than I am, and there aren't many guys on the AEW roster that I can say are older than I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And like taking the bumps like that too, holy shit. Because even the one tonight, he didn't land on the stairs like he did in the Darby match, but like it's not gonna feel any better really landing on a fucking person.
Yeah. No,
Also, God bless Matt Jackson for taking that one too. Like, oof. That this was a great match. Hardy's win, which initially I was like, oh, weird, but then this is one that already having like had what fucking like 4 hours to let it kind of sink in now. I'm
they're about around there.
Yeah, it's making more sense to me, and we kind of touched on it a little at the big like before the show, but if this is kind of the Hardys' final run and they're gonna just go through some dream matches with the AEW roster, it can't be a losing streak the whole way through. They're gonna have to pick up some wins there, so the Bucks are kind of setting them on that trajectory quite nicely with with having the Hardys go over in this match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's just it's a great way to put it, and it's something that I hadn't really considered. I really just kind of looked at this as a one-off and as the Hardys kind of passing the torch to the Bucks, not as though the Bucks need that rub at this point. They're more than established superstars at this juncture, and I don't want to use superstar per se, given the connotation there, but you know what I'm going for. But if you look at it in the context of a broader, dream match farewell tour kind of thing, then yeah, it makes all the sense in the world to give the Hardys this win. I wonder now what the logical conclusion here is. If this is going to build to, I don't know, do we get a face versus face with Jurassic Express at some point at the end of this? And how does that play? Because I don't think, and I'm jumping way ahead here, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've already got your world title on Punk, do you really want who's in his 40s now, or at least close to it? I think he might be in his early 40s now. Do you want to put your tag titles on the Hardys too? That seems like a mistake, So I'm intrigued to see where this goes, if it leads to anything, or
Yeah, that was something that when I was watching with my friends in our voice chat tonight, it was kind of like well, if it's really kind of like the farewell run for the Hardys, is there, just to put it in the trophy case and add it to their list of accolades, is there like a touch of the AEW tag titles in there? And it's kind of like for the legacy, I guess it would be cool, but like I don't think it's even necessary. Like it's the Hardys, they're gonna go down whether they win an AEW tag team championship or not. It's one of the greatest tag teams of all time. You could say the greatest, depending on what era you grew up watching wrestling in, really. So it's I don't know. That's one of those ones where like if it happened, I'd just have to see what happens when it happens. Like yeah, I don't know. That's such a hypothetical to think about, and like you said about the world title, you really want to,
that's putting a lot of older and guys who made their name in WWE, putting a lot of them on top, and it's like that gets you into a weird spot. And again, like I said, this is thinking way ahead, and who knows if Jurassic Express will even have the tag titles, whenever you're ready to do this. This could go any number of directions, but for the time being, Jeff looked great. Matt looked great for somebody whose knees and hips haven't worked in about 5 years. And
Matt Hardy, like his last few matches that he's had, I'm like, he looks like he found the, not the fountain of youth, but maybe like the drinking fountain at school of youth, like just a little bit of the fountain water coming out for a bit.
Little sip.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, this is a good, it was a happy match. I don't think this is one where you'd be like, there's joy either way, no matter which way this match went.
Yeah. And I'm intrigued to see where the Hardys go from here. Like what other matches do we have in here? We've already put them against Private Party.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the Hardys against Top Flight, but poor Darius Martin cannot catch a break with the injuries.
Yeah.
Can we do the Hardys and FTR?
Absolutely.
That could be a thing. Let's see that.
Hardys and FTR.
I'd love Hardys and Jurassic Express. Hardys and Team Taz.
Hardys and Red Dragon.
You can have some fun with this.
Yeah. Hell, Hardys and Roppongi Vice. Let's go. Let's get that.
Oh, yes.
Roppongi Vice is back. Roppongi Vice is back. I'll take that one.
Yep.
Hell, God only knows. What about some like Forbidden Door shit too? Like that show's coming up.
Santana and Ortiz.
P&P, absolutely. Yep. Just for funny reasons, even Hardys and 2.0 would be.
Forbidden Door. You want to go classic tag teams? Let's go Hardys versus Ten Cozy.
Oh, okay. We need to move on. We're gonna just be fantasy booking Hardys matches for an hour if we keep this shit up. So the next thing we had the TBS Championship match. No surprise here. Jade Cargill retains the title over Anna Jay. This one is less about discussing the match and more about what happened after it, which was Jade Cargill getting the distraction help from a now all elite Stokely Hathaway. Welcome to AEW, Stokely, in the role where many people would have, as soon as he was released, was like, put that fucking man with Jade. And of course, why wouldn't you? And of course, Smart Mark has already tweeted out like, "Oh, what happened?" Because he was disposed of on the floor when that all went down. So
I believe he also added, "What's a stoke?"
What's a stoke? Yeah. Shit. I don't have my good production hat on tonight, so I don't have the screen transitions to show Twitter. Otherwise, we'll get one of those shows in one day, though, Kyle.
It was great.
As the beatdown was happening on Anna Jay by the baddies, we had Athena is all elite. I've been waiting for this one. It was less so for me about is it going to happen and more so when, because it'd be criminal to not try to sign Athena if you're, if you're Tony Khan. Come on now.
Oh man, absolutely. I mean, Athena is just such a talent, and I'm not gonna lie, I selfishly want her on the ROH roster because I think she would do amazing things in that division. She has a history with Mercedes Martinez. I pointed out on Twitter, Mercedes has never actually beaten Athena in any capacity, singles or tag. Four singles matches. Athena is 4-0. So what if she comes shooting for that ROH Women's World title?
Do you hear this knowledge that Kyle's dropping? You can find this every week on the Code of Honor podcast.
Oh, it's a blast, man. But no, selfishly, I would love to have Athena in ROH. She was a very high draft pick for me in the ROH women's roster draft that we did as a Code of Honor special episode a couple of weeks ago.
It was a very fun episode.
So thank you. So I think I've been well on the books for a while of wanting her in ROH, and this doesn't change that. So we now have at least a couple of people who look like they're lining up for maybe a TBS title shot, Athena among them.
Mm-hmm. And that's something I kind of wanted to touch on with the TBS title too, was the Chris Statlander running at the end. Because I feel like if she didn't have to replace Sheeta in the tournament, we were probably going to maybe get Chris Statlander winning the TBS title tonight. And the only reason might not have been tonight. I do think Chris Statlander is going to be the one to end that streak and take the TBS title from Jade. And the only reason I really say this is of all the women on the AEW roster that Jade has just decimated, it's a like really short list of names of people she hasn't faced. Britt Baker is one of them, although I have to check if they might have been in like a piece together tag match at any point, but
not to
I
my
don't
recollection.
think so. No, I don't think so. But the only other name that really comes to mind is Chris Statlander and Jade Cargill haven't shared a ring in any capacity either, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
And Chris is on a hot streak right now in a big way. She is putting out great match after great match after great match. The character switch up is doing wonders for her. I will say that the addition of Athena to the equation tonight makes things very interesting, because the presumption was, and I've made it as well, just like you did, that Chris was going to be the one to knock off Jade. But the addition of Athena to the equation, especially in the spot where she came in, raises a lot of questions. Are we really pushing Stat aside again for the new hot signing? Because it feels like it's happened before.
Well, and like that was kind of the key whole point of her pre-match promo on Friday for Rampage, is that she dominated the division and then fucked her knee up, and then she's just been doing everything she can to claw back for opportunities. So, and like, I'm sure everybody who's seeing this has watched Rampage from Friday. You heard the reaction to Ruby losing that match. You also heard the reaction to like Chris Statlander's promo, and that building went nuts for her. I don't know. I'm gonna give AEW the I'm gonna give them the I'll wait and see with this, because I do like what you mentioned about Mercedes and Athena having that history, and Tony Khan being the geek that he is probably just as aware of that fact as you are. So,
well, Kylie and I have talked. Kylie and I have shouted out to him a bunch of times about like, hey, we know our stuff. Talk to us about this.
Hey, do it, TK. Do it.
But that being said, if you, the thought occurs to me of, if you put the TBS title on Stat, and then transition to Athena versus Jade from there, and let that happen. Let Stat just happen to get the first shot.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to necessarily go at it right away with Athena in the TBS title picture, because they at least try to make it sound like a thing that you have to earn. So maybe Athena has to go through the baddies, and I wouldn't complain about Athena versus Kiera Hogan, for instance.
Yep.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and AEW, they do like their ranking system, so Athena, should have to pick up some dubs to get to get into any title conversation anyway.
And then maybe somewhere down the line we can do Athena and Stat, and
that match would like fuck, give me a time machine. Take me to when that one happens.
I got very excited. Athena's. I got very excited and very very sad, because they just. I'm also a big fan of Warrior Wrestling, and they are running in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is about an hour away for me. Nice. And I think previous engagements will stop me from being there. And one of the things they're running that night is Athena versus AQA.
Oh, that match is gonna be excellent.
Are you kidding me with that? Come on. But no, so Athena has arrived finally. We'll see what she's gonna do, and there's plenty of great matches waiting for her.
Yeah.
And hopefully we still maintain putting the TBS title on Stat because, God, she deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been wanting that. That's the one I've been wanting since the title existed, basically. But we'll move on. We got House of Black versus Death Triangle. This is the first match of the night where I said this is match of the night. That changed a couple more times, but this was the first time I said it tonight, and for good reason. Like, I lose my shit every time for House of Black. I love Malachi Black. Buddy Matthews is insane. Brody King is one of my favorite wrestlers. I've been watching a shitload of PWG recently.
Oh yeah,
and like Brody King, just that man. I love his band God's Hate. Shout out God's Hate, you fucking rule. So yeah, and then Death Triangle, one of the most entertaining three men in all of pro wrestling, individually and collectively. So like this whole match is like just fucking fireworks. It was crazy.
Now I'm trying to remember, and I didn't get a chance to look it up, so I don't know off the top of my head. I know Kings of the Black Throne, I believe they're still the PWG Tag Team Champions.
They are, yes.
Did we ever get Kings of the Black Throne against the Lucha Bros in PWG? Because I know all four have worked there quite a bit. And to my knowledge, I am not certain off the top of my head if we have or not. Normally, I try to look that stuff up. I did not have a chance to do it tonight, but because these six work together so seamlessly, and I'll cover while you look that up, because thank you for that. These six work together so seamlessly, and you've got six incredibly talented individuals. Like Mike said, Malachi Black is fantastic. Buddy Matthews at one point called himself the best kept secret. He's not a secret anymore. That guy is top notch. And
no, never.
No.
They've actually tonight would be the only time they've met in any kind of tag match.
Wow.
The Lucha Bros and Kings of the Black Throne. So I now, like, this is me doing the very base level cage match research of I went to Rey Fenix's cage match and then searched his matches for Brody King. And the only two matches that came up were tonight's and a 40-man battle riot for MLW in 2018. So,
well, there you go. That's close enough for me. And well, now PWG, if you're listening, God, I think you need to book that at some point if you can.
Yeah, well, because all four of them have wrestled there individually, and then both teams have wrestled there a number of times as well. So, like, yeah, oh God, well, that match in the Globe Theater would fucking wow.
I mean, it also occurred to me because and it's because somebody else, made a point to say so as well on Twitter. I forget whom it was, and he also had Rick Knox as the referee too. But somebody pointed out it felt like a PWG match.
I said this in my Discord, and I didn't say this on Twitter, but I did actually say those words in Discord tonight, and that's really funny, actually, that I'm clearly not the only person who.
And it did. It's just balls to the wall action, bodies flying everywhere, including Brody King, who didn't manage to not brain himself going for that tope con hilo. Although he did tweet afterwards that the ring apron is really hard.
Yeah. It was an adaptation of a God's Hate lyric. So it's life is hard, be harder.
Yeah.
And yeah, the life is hard, the ring apron's harder is what he said. But
I've been told it's the hardest part of the ring.
Yeah. Oh my God. Commentators stop saying that every time an apron bump happens. Challenge, go. But I love the like tandem moves that House of Black has. They had the one where Buddy picks up for a suplex and then tosses him to Brody for a Rikishi driver or Psycho driver,
Oh,
whatever you
yeah.
want to call it. But then, just that shit. And then there was another really good one. It was actually it was sort of a House of Black double team move, but it was really like Ray Phoenix. He put Buddy Matthews on Malachi's shoulders for a power bomb, and then kicked Malachi's legs out, so he had to power bomb Buddy Matthews, and that was fucking just like light bulbs. Like, oh, it's crazy for as many wild things that these teams both come up with as far as tandem offense and like multi-person spots, that they actually still find like new ways of doing shit and all. Yeah,
and to do it at the pace with which that is executing is staggering.
Yeah, 100 miles an hour all match, and the House of Black getting the win here with.
And we finally got to the fireworks factory.
Yes, pack on the top rope for the black arrow, looking to end it, and then lights go out. Julia Hart standing in front of him, missed him, and gets hit with a black mass and pinned. So Julia, for those wondering why she didn't swing the chair on the Varsity Blondes a few weeks ago on Dynamite, there is just a bigger stage to do this on in a cooler moment.
I mean, I like the Varsity Blondes, but this is a much better Impact.
Oh yeah, that promo picture she's already tweeted out, like, she's doing it. We've got Goth Julia Hart. It's happening.
Did you see Nyla Rose quote tweet that, by the way?
I did not.
She asked if Julia does commissions because she wants Julia to do that to Serpentico.
Oh shit, that's so funny.
Because the Nyla Rose Serpentico Twitter feud is the greatest thing going in AEW right now.
I mentioned that somewhere already there's a metalcore band that is using that picture for an EP cover.
Probably true.
Yeah.
But now do we stick with Julia Hart, or do we go the infinitely cooler Julia Blackheart? Oh,
gotta go Julia Blackheart. Come on now.
I
gotta go that way. Which
it's sitting right there waiting for you guys. That's a free one.
Oh yeah. And then heading out of this match, we got into the first of the Owen Hart Cup tournament finals matches. We got the men's side first, Adam Cole taking on Samoa Joe. And Adam Cole picking up the win here.
A first time ever match.
That seems wild to me to think about. They just never crossed paths at any point in ROH, like in those early years, which is kind of like, I guess not like the 2010s, 11.
Joe had his comeback run with ROH in 2015. He only worked about 5 matches in the whole thing, but one of them was against Kyle O'Reilly. But none were against Adam Cole. I believe he worked in no particular order. I'm trying to remember them all now. He worked Kyle O'Reilly. He worked ACH. He worked Jay. The second to last one was Jay Briscoe in a world title match at Supercard of Honor 9, I believe. He worked a tag match that wasn't televised against with AJ Styles against Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. And the fifth, oh man, I had all of these, and the fifth one is escaping me now.
It's because he's canceled. Michael Elgin.
That's right.
Yeah, you forgot it because we're forgetting him.
Because of the power of cancel culture. Although in the moment when that dropped, I'm sure we were all very excited for Joe versus Elgin, because Elgin was real hot for a minute right around the mid 2010s there, and him and Joe would have had a damn fine little Haas match. But
Yeah, well, they did.
Not-
They did. Samoa Joe defeated him by knockout in 20 minutes.
but we never got Joe versus Cole. Did not happen, and Cole was very highly featured in the promotion at that point. So I'm a little bit surprised it never happened.
True.
And then both men showed up in NXT, and we never got it there either, save for Joe choking out Cole backstage one time.
Yeah, that's even wilder to me because they spent like more than just that, like, you know, cup of coffee that Joe had in ROH in 2015 together, like in the later, you know, after that. So, but yeah,
Missed opportunity. You guys had the chance. ROH had the chance. NXT had the chance.
Yep.
AEW finally did it.
Yep. And you know, yeah, good spot to do that right in the middle of a pape. It's a good match too. Like, holy shit, Samoa Joe's like, yeah, I like Kylie's tweet of every time Adam Cole takes a power move from Samoa Joe, she can see his bones shaking.
Oh man, and
Like,
Cole took a beating. I loved that it kind of worked in the way Joe said that it would in his pre-match interview that aired on Road 2, where he said, "I'm stronger than him. I'm meaner than him. I hit harder than him. Where Cole has the advantage is the surprise factor, where something happens that you don't see coming, as something, whether it's a defensive move or whether it's the Undisputed Elite or what have you. That's where Cole has the advantage, and that's what we saw in this match as well, was Cole being a defensive wrestler until the opportunity presented itself.
Yep.
And going after the shoulder, and you know, it was great stuff.
The Undisputed Elite, you know, we did have Bobby Fishmaker run in here too. Which, you know,
it was not as overbooked as I thought it was going to be, which is nice.
Yeah. I like that they didn't do that with like either of these Owen Hart Cup matches. Like, they were, you know, for the most part, except for there was 2 Bobby Fish distractions. There was the first one where he just got knocked off the apron right away, and then he hopped back up there and he cranked that shoulder on the top rope. But which, you know, is also what it did. It did lead to the eventual finish. But yeah, they kept they let the wrestling really, you know, speak for the tournament matches and for the finals, which I'm glad they did. You know, there is something to be said. One about, you know, well, I guess I'll get to my like general thoughts on the overall finals after we discuss the next match. Which, if you got anything about this one you want to add in before we get to it.
Well, I will say that I don't know if we're gonna stand by this or not. I would hope that we would, but I think Adam Cole is now also owed a shot at the ROH World Television title.
True.
If we so choose, because let's be honest, he's a former TV champ himself. He beat the champ relatively close to clean. It was good stuff. I had Cole winning this one in my predictions. I'm not entirely surprised. I think Cole fits. I think they kind of wanted the Owen to be. I'm not sure what they wanted the Owen to be, honestly, and how they book it the winners moving forward is going to be an interesting tell there as well. And
well, see, the thing I like about Adam Cole winning it is, one, obviously Samoa Joe just got there, so like, I mean, you know, like, this tournament has been announced long before Samoa Joe was even a possibility for AEW to actually sign in the first place. So I wouldn't have imagined him. We know the way Tony Khan's brain works. He's probably not, you know, when he's announcing the Owen, he probably has a pretty general idea in his head already of who's winning it. You know, given that the tournament itself was announced right around the time, just shortly after All Out, if I'm not mistaken.
Might be. I'd have to go check.
But either way, Samoa, you know, I don't think Samoa Joe would have been in his plans to book it there. But
Well, and
with Adam Cole winning the Owen, by all accounts, Adam Cole is like one of the nicest people on earth outside of the
yes,
ring,
yes,
and a very, very, a good wrestler and a great heel inside of it. So,
well, and
a fitting
Adam
winner.
reminds me, and Adam has a little bit of that Owen style about him as a guy who can fly, a guy who can do technical, a guy who can do a variety of styles. And if we're being honest, probably would fit into the junior heavyweight category.
Oh yeah,
and or at least close to it. And I think it can either be a beloved underdog babyface or just an absolute smarmy dickhead.
Yeah, embodied a lot of the same characteristics as both in and out of the ring, by all accounts. So
now, if he starts carrying that belt around like Owen did the Slammy, then I think we're.
You should do the trophy. You should bring the trophy around. Just bring that like fucking big ass trophy. And then so the next match we did have in the Owen Hart Cup tournament finals. I like that they ran them back to back. It does make sense, obviously, with having to do the belt / trophy presentation anyway. To do it this way, we had Ruby Soho versus Britt Baker in and this would be, I guess, the second time tonight where I went with the result of the match. But again, having had a couple hours of it marinating now, I don't think like this. It's not like offensive to me that it happened, but I'm just more of like it didn't need to happen. Like I feel like Ruby would have been Ruby's going to benefit more from the win here than Britt ever will. I think, but
absolutely.
Once Cole wins, it's like it would be really weird having Britt, having Cole and Ruby standing up there after Ruby just beat Britt Baker and then just standing there receiving a belt and a trophy with Adam Cole. But like, I at the end of the day, I don't think that's what matters here. Like for the overall benefit, like I said, Ruby Soho had much more to gain here with a win than Britt does.
Oh yeah. 100%. And I was registering my displeasure on the internet in short order after the finish, just because you've now very much put a cap on Ruby Soho. She lost to Jade, or I'm sorry, she lost to Brit. She lost to Jade in the TBS tournament finals. She lost to Brit again. I think you've really put a cap on, at least for a little while, what Ruby Soho can be for you. And that strikes me as a problem. And not only that, but you also put Ruby over your very hot Chris Statlander in the semifinals. For what purpose? To lose to Brit again, who, like you said, very much doesn't need this. And I feel like I have to say, every time I go into this, I like Britt Baker. I think she's tremendous. Her character work is second to none. Her ring work is solid, but she and to a slightly lesser extent, Jade Cargill are the only two women on this roster that are allowed to look like major, consistent stars.
Yeah.
Your women's champion, Thunder Rosa, does not get to look like a major star the way Brit or Jade do. And that's going to be a problem sooner rather than later. It's already a problem now.
Yeah.
And this really didn't help that at all.
Kind of going back to what I was saying, like Ruby really needed, like Britt did not need the win here. And like on the flip side of that, Britt has like almost nothing to lose at all with a loss here. And this loss, like, it puts a huge question mark on, like you were saying, what do you do with Ruby? So, like, I don't know where do we see Ruby from here? There's nothing I can think of now where it's like the only thing left to it still is, and this goes back to her like post Grand Slam promo of telling Brit that, like, one day I'm going to get you. But it's like, I thought that was like, that was the whole purpose of tonight, was like the haha, I'm gonna get you, like, you got me a Grand Slam, but I fucking got you. I got you a double or nothing for the Owen, and now it's like, when the fuck's she gonna get her?
Yeah,
because now the only time that payoff is ever gonna matter is when there's stakes involved. So like, what is Brit like? Are we gonna like, when do we? We have to have something for Brit to lose to Ruby of importance in the future again for that whole payoff to matter. So like, that can't be any time in the very near future, because like I don't see them bouncing a title back onto Brit anytime soon. Like, although maybe they will. Like, who knows? They book her like she's fucking Superwoman. So.
That's just it. It's just such an odd way to go about it that Ruby. Sorry, God, I'll get there eventually. It's 1:45 in the morning here on the East Coast for me. So
exactly. Yep.
Ruby has now failed in 3 major high-profile spots.
Mm-hmm.
The classic example to go to here is Lex Luger, who had shot after shot after shot at Ric Flair and failed and failed and failed. And by the time they finally pulled the trigger on him, it was after a heel turn that no one wanted, and in what was one of the worst received pay-per-view main events of all time. And when he won as a face, nobody cared, because this guy's a loser. He fails in the top spot. He chokes. Mm-hmm. And I want better for Ruby than to have that label.
Yeah.
I believe she was the first woman to ever hold the Chikara Young Lions Cup. She's a decorated performer and a damn good one. And I think she can absolutely be a major star for you. And
hell yeah.
I don't see. Look, anybody can get there with the proper heating, and AEW has the capacity to do that. But I don't know if the iron, even with proper heating, I don't know if the iron's ever going to be as hot as it was, in this first little bit for her.
Yep. Part of it that I'm curious about too is like, because again, going back to the Rampage crowd reaction, I'm very curious to know if there was a pivot based on that. I know Tony Khan isn't one to pivot very much, but like, how are you going to have Rancid play her to the fucking ring and then she lose?
Yeah.
Because like, Rancid is not a thing where they just put that together like this morning and we're like, hey guys, you want to come play Ruby to the ring? Like, I'm sure they've had that plan in the works for, more than just 3 days.
Yeah, that is another reason why that was such an odd choice.
I'm like, as soon as Rancid would play, like, I heard fucking Justin Roberts announce Rancid, and I'm just like, oh, Ruby wins. Like as soon as they started playing Ruby Soho to the ring, I was like, there's. Plus, like, if AEW has taught me anything, if somebody's getting a live musical performance to the ring, they're going to win the match. Like, they haven't exactly been like subtle about that in the past.
No.
It's like the grandest entrance wins is usually how they've tended to roll, and makes sense. But yeah,
here we are.
It just seems odd. I want to move on from this one. Like, I
will say, and I want to point this out because I saw somebody say it on Twitter. I retweeted it as well, that the belts that were given to Cole and Brit to memorialize their win in this tournament were modeled after the old Stampede Wrestling Championships. You can go on my Twitter. I retweeted somebody who pointed it out, and they brought the receipts and had pictures to go with it. Because of this being Owen Hart, those belts were modeled after the Stampede titles, which is
it's a really nice touch.
An entire extra degree of cool.
Yeah.
And I wanted to shout that out because that is awesome, and I love that TK went to that extent.
Yeah. He does that a lot, like with drawing on history throughout certain things in that regard. But yeah, let's
a little dose of positivity before we move on.
Yeah, absolutely. To yes, positivity. American Top Team versus Frankie, Sammy, and Ty Conti. Let's keep the positivity train rolling, Kyle.
I'm positive that this is over.
Yes, and yeah, and my brother in Christ, thank the Lord. Like, goddamn.
Oh my goodness.
Holy shit. I tweeted, God, I don't want to go pulling my tweets out very much here, but what did I tweet here about this one? Fuck, I'll find it.
Well, this was I had concerns going into this. One, because the story has not really been great, and two, because of the fact that what was a mixed tag turned into a mixed trios, and that instantly sent up alarm bells of, oh my gosh, Paige Van Zandt is not ready for this. That's why we had to add Ethan and Scorpio into this, and but those proved to be at least somewhat unfounded.
Yeah, there were like it you know, it for a non-wrestling crossover, and you know, it's always a mixed bag. We've seen some fucking horrible ones, and then we've seen some shacks. You know, so you never know what you're gonna get. Paige Van Zandt, I would say, fell right into the middle, because there was some stuff she did where it was like, there is definitely some promise here, and at least it looked like she had, you know, put some work in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was some stuff where it was just like, oh yeah, this is definitely not a professional wrestler, like, at all. You know,
no,
so
I think if this is something that she really wants to do and really wants to keep putting in the work, I think the building blocks are there for her to do some really interesting things.
Yeah.
Especially with especially with people on the roster like Marina Shafir. Mm-hmm. With people on the roster like when she comes back from knee surgery, Layla Hirsch.
Yeah. Someone she can actually like incorporate some of that MMA background and that like grappling background
and you saw some of that even with Ty with some of the judo work too. Like, there's pieces there.
Yeah, like she looked really natural in some of those, like you know, she looked a lot more comfortable with those like actual like wrestling-esque movements, as opposed to the like, you know, the pro wrestling stuff, like, you know, shooting the ropes and that's you know, that's the tweet, I did find it. Let this angle be dead and buried forever, please. Like, no more, for the love of all that is holy. Yes.
How'd you really feel, Mike?
You know, yeah, that might have been a little subtle. Oh man, like, okay, so like this, it's unfortunate because this is an angle where like individually I like all these people as like wrestlers, but just the whole, first of all, I'm from Hamilton, Ontario. It's where I'm sitting right now. So Ethan Page is one of my favorite wrestlers. He's my hometown guy. He makes me, you know, he gives me hope that, you know, you can accomplish something and live in this shithole. So Scorpio Sky, incredible. Paige Van Zandt's just cool. You know what? Yeah, all right. I could so do without Dan Lambert. I could have done without him for weeks, honestly. His like he was really cool for about a week or two when he first showed up, because it was like, oh, he's like, you know, got some really interesting natural ability with the microphone in his hand. But then it's like, you don't need to say 30% of the things that you're saying, though. Like, and then also
at a conservative estimate.
Yeah. But like, you know, and then also on top of it, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page of all people do not need a mouthpiece. Ethan Page, if Scorpio Sky needs a mouthpiece, just let Ethan Page be his mouthpiece. He's better than, like, I would put him in the top 5 on the microphone in that company.
Oh yeah.
Like,
100%.
if you let that man sing, he'll give you a fucking, like, some 90s Mariah Carey shit. And then on the flip side too, like, Frankie Kazarian's fucking awesome. Sammy Guevara is an incredible fucking wrestler. Ty Conti, really good as well. The combination of Sammy and Ty, like, it doesn't work. Like, I get it. And I don't know, it's just like, it's a little egregious for me, I guess. Like,
I'm intrigued. I'd
like,
love to know where it came from. Yeah, I'd love to know where that came from, because it felt like, oh, people like Sammy, people like Ty, people are happy for Sammy and Ty, people will like Sammy and Ty together. People did not like Sammy and Ty together. And okay, leaning into it is fine. That's what you should do. Be able to pivot and work on that. But we leaned in way too hard, and I think we flipped over the vehicle going around the corner leaning into it.
Yeah, let's take it down about 10 or 15% there, Squirrely Dan. Like shit.
And it's bad. It's gotten to the point where you can lean into it and you can be heel with what they've done so far, and not lean into it to this degree, to the point where it's actively difficult to watch.
Yeah. And then, like, the excess at which the cringe shit just was going on in this match, like, I don't know why these, you know, mid 20s awesome pro wrestlers are suddenly like the couple that can't stop making out in the back of the fucking math class in 10th grade. Like, it's insane.
I will say they poured it on hard enough that it felt very earned when Kazarian pretty much told them all to go pound sand.
Yeah. And yeah,
because it kind of had to, because Kazarian knows going in that if they lose, if he can't deal with them and they lose, he never gets a shot at Scorpio ever again.
Yeah.
So it had to piss him off royally to get to the point where he pretty much told them to go screw.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe I should choose a different phrase.
Get a room, y'all.
and we did that. You know, they laid it on so thick in that sense that it felt earned when Kazarian went effectively, you know what? I know this is important to me and my aspirations, but you guys are just such unspeakable assholes that I cannot deal with you anymore. I don't care.
That was
get lost.
That was the second biggest pop of mine in the match. The biggest thing that popped me in the match was the end, because now at least I know that this is a dead and buried angle.
Yes.
You know?
That said, and we talked a lot about the negatives surrounding this angle and these people and everything else. Can we talk for just a second about the sequences with Scorpio and Kazarian?
Yeah.
Can we talk about how just silky smooth those were in both directions, and how flippin' good both of those men are at pro wrestling?
Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky could put together a 15-minute match based entirely around moves that just involve slingshotting over the top rope. Like
and it would be amazing.
The Kazarian fucking slingshotting in with to hit the DDT. Also, he's got like one of the nicest fucking leg drops in wrestling.
Yeah.
But that one where he pulled Scorpio in with the slingshot and then caught him in it. Oh my god. Okay, actually, so that was the second biggest thing I popped for in the match. Actually, in hindsight. But
that slingshot cutter was art. That was beautiful. And we no longer have to deal with Sammy Guevara challenging for the TNT title. We no longer get Frankie Kazarian challenging for the TNT title. So, and you know what? I'll lump this in here. I hope this isn't screwing with your format too much, but I'll lump this in here because it's worth talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
We have our first challenger for the TNT title in an interview segment later on in the night.
Yep, I actually forgot to write those segments down, so thanks for bringing that up.
And Dante Martin walked up to interrupt an interview segment with Lexi Nair and American Top Team to throw his hat in the ring to challenge Scorpio Sky. So at some point in Los Angeles, it looks like, during their West Coast swing, we're going to get Scorpio Sky versus Dante Martin for the TNT Championship.
That's going to rule. Like, I will tune in straight. I'm going to watch the show anyway, but like, I'm going to be glued to my monitor to watch that one.
That's going to be very, very good.
Oh my God. I'm just thinking about it's going to be zero gravity wrestling. I love it.
It's going to be great. Well, and this opens up a lot of avenues now for Scorpio to defend the TNT Championship. Now that we don't have Sammy in the mix anymore, you've got Dante, who's going to be a great challenger. You've got so many guys on this roster who I'd love to see. Starks, Hobbs.
You've still got that
Swerve.
You still
Keith
got
Lee.
the eventual Ethan Page, dissolution of the friendship match too. That's gonna be fucking happen. Amazing. What I want to see happen in the coming days is Dan Lambert transition out of the managerial role for this duo, and just maybe he can find someone who actually needs a mouthpiece. But what we brought up on the prediction show I did with the Jabronis on Thursday was it would be cool to see Dan Lambert get some vignettes of him undergoing sensitivity training. I like that. Let's move him. Let's move him with someone else. We'll get some lighthearted vignettes, kind of like the Hookhausen training video of Dan Lambert getting sensitivity training on how to not be a misogynist piece of garbage every time he touches a microphone. It'd be fantastic.
I mean, keep him with Paige Van Zant. That's fine.
Well, that too.
Let him work with Paige and let Ethan and Scorpio go do their thing, because they don't need him. They never did. And let's go.
Absolutely. And let's go to our next match, which is Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin. So this is the second time tonight where I went, this is the match of the night. Oh my God.
Speaking of TNT title contenders,
Kyle O'Reilly won. Darby Allin, honestly, since he lost it, hasn't been anywhere really near that title again himself. Except
I wouldn't put it back on him, but he
did have the thing with Sammy and Andrade, but
I wouldn't put it back on him, but he'd have a banger match with Scorpio.
Yep, him and Scorpio would absolutely have a great match. I wouldn't mind some. Well, actually, no. I was gonna say we could get some Men of the Year versus Sting and Darby. We literally fucking did that at Double or Nothing last year. So never mind.
We did.
Never mind. Actually, no, we could run that back. That was a fun ass match. Ethan Page yeeted Darby Allin into the second row. Sting dove off of a stack of poker chips at 69 years old. I just wanted to say the number. I know he's not that old, but
nice.
Yeah, my guy. No, this match was fucking again, second time tonight I went match of the night. Kyle O'Reilly did pick up the win. Darby Allin, my God, it was a Darby Allin match. He almost killed himself 500 different times throughout the match. That first, the botch tope suicida, I was like, oh, this match is gonna have to be over pretty quickly. Yeah, that wasn't even the worst bump he took in the match, honestly, probably.
It turned into a diving capo kick to the outside almost.
So it was one of the happiest accidents I'm sure he's ever had in terms
It
of
was
like,
if you were following my live tweeting during the show, that was the one where I tweeted in all caps something along the lines of Jesus, holy fuck, God, Darby,
yeah, yeah.
because I did not have words for oh God,
Second,
why do you hate your body so much?
yeah, it's really interesting watching Darby Allin matches because like I'm so convinced he's going to like do something in the match where I'm like, okay, well he's gonna like every move he does is just him destroying his own body in an attempt to destroy his opponent, and it's like, how does he always eke out the win? It's crazy. That wasn't even the coolest tope. Like that was a cool tope suicida because of what it turned into. Also terrifying still too. But then
Also cool because he didn't die.
the next one was awesome because he went between the middle and bottom rope and like full speared into Kyle O'Reilly's chest, but Kyle O'Reilly caught him into a guillotine choke, and that was
Oh,
what a way to counter a suicide dive. I don't think
oh
I can't say I've seen that happen before.
no, like that was unbelievable. I will say it might not be the craziest that I've ever seen, and it wasn't technically a suicide dive, but it reminded me of ROH. I want to say it was one of the Super Card of Honor shows years ago when they ran the Briscoes versus the Age of the Fall.
Okay.
And the finish was they went for their springboard doomsday device. Jacobs caught Mark in midair in his guillotine end times choke, rolled backwards off Jay's shoulder, and landed on the mat in the guillotine choke from that.
I have to go back.
It was an absolutely bonkers finish.
Shit.
I want to say it was Super Card of Honor 3, but I'd have to look it up again to make sure. But like that was what immediately sprang to mind for me, partially because ROH brain and partially because just an absolutely bonker spot that you absolutely should not be able to catch a guillotine out of that, and you managed to do it.
Also, shout out Jimmy Jacobs. I watched him wrestle a couple times on some indie shows in Vegas this weekend, and that dude is. I love Jimmy. He had a cool ass fucking submission match. He had like a death match almost, like a hardcore match. It was.
He had a Vegas street fight against
that's
Alex Colon.
Yeah, him and Alex Colon, which like back to back tournament of survival winner Alex Colon.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to this match. And oh god, the apron coffin drop.
At least he actually landed on Kyle. I've seen him hit the apron on that so many times that like my back starts to hurt.
Right, and like hardest part of the ring. There was one moment in the match too that I tweeted to ask for a fact checker, and I don't think anyone fact checked it for me, sadly. But Darby attempted the Last Supper, his really cool little like figure four bridged pin thing that he does, and Kyle O'Reilly kicked out, and that might be the first time I can think. I can't remember anyone actually kicking out of that in AEW specifically. He won a lot of his TNT title defenses using that, like typically, like especially against like bigger dudes.
I
have to go back and look at his match.
I know I want to say that someone has escaped it, but I don't know if it was because they kicked out or if it was because it was a multi-man and someone broke it up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I think Kyle O'Reilly might be the first like kick out of that, but I gotta. Hey, like, this sucks to be me. I'm going to have to watch all the Darby Allin AEW matches now. What a sad time that's going to be.
It's a rough project for you there.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I don't know. Like the secondhand back pain from that might put me out of the chair for a few weeks again. Holy shit.
This was tremendous. I was surprised to see Kyle get the win.
Same.
This felt like an opportunity to give Darby a high-ish profile pay-per-view victory. Although I will say that this probably felt like it could have been on the buy-in, just because there was a very recent build. But since you put him over, how about putting Kyle O'Reilly in the TNT title mix?
Absolutely. Like, and I think it's I like the idea of Kyle O'Reilly getting himself some singles wins up the ladder. The thing that struck me as odd about this though, with the finish, because while you mentioned the finish, the result kind of surprising you too, let's take a quick peek at what our predictions were. Boy, we missed a few here each.
Just a few.
But the thing about this one that kind of caught me off guard was Darby Allin. Like, the whole purpose of him wanting this match was to, he kind of made it seem like he was going to be the super elite hunter. Like, he was taking up Frankie and he was pissed that they hurt Sting. And so I was like, oh, okay. Darby's he's gonna start with a win over Kyle O'Reilly, and he's gonna start working his way through. Dude, we're gonna get to like some Darby Adam Cole here, which I do think, maybe we do get. I would love to see Darby and Adam Cole in some kind of like lights out match or something, because Adam Cole
be a lot of fun.
Adam Cole is he's got a track record of having some really good like street fight style mat, like the no DQ format. Especially, some Darby and Cole and that, that kind of stipulation would be great. And I thought that's what this match was going to start the ball rolling on, is Darby getting his, revenge, avenging Sting's injury at the hands of the Super Elite. And
yeah, this was another match that
now I don't know.
This was another match, and I mentioned it during Brit as well, and I mentioned it a couple of times already, and there'll be a couple more yet to come. Spoilers, but this felt like an odd choice. I don't want to say missed opportunity necessarily, because building up Kyle O'Reilly is never a bad thing. But you had the stated reason for the match. You had the ongoing potential angle with Darby and the Undisputed Elite. And you had Kyle O'Reilly, who, while is objectively fantastic, has predominantly been a tag team wrestler. A singles loss to somebody as high profile as Darby Allin isn't going to hurt Kyle at all.
Yeah.
So this felt like why? And it became a running theme, especially in the second half of the card, of good match, head-scratching finish.
And actually, kind of on the flip side to that point, something that one of the homies brought up during the at the end of the match was, it's actually like the end result isn't actually that bad, because like of all the people in the AEW roster, Darby is one of those people who, like, it doesn't matter whether he wins or loses, he is like indefinitely over, and a loss doesn't really seem to hurt him that much, and then especially when it comes to Kyle O'Reilly, who's definitely seem I would like to see a little bit of a Kyle O'Reilly push going on. That would be cool. We do need to. I don't think an ego, a faction with the egos that the Undisputed Elite have is, something that's going to last forever as a functioning collective. So, getting some momentum in, a little bit of winning Kyle O'Reilly sales isn't the worst thing to happen, but I don't know. It's
somebody else pointed out earlier, and I saw somebody else point out tonight, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly won. The Bucks lost.
I never actually thought of that. That's really
I wish I could. I wish I could recall who said it. I have so much stuff going on in my Twitter, during the show, but Kyle and Adam won, and the Bucks lost.
Yeah, that's yeah. So there's, well, we'll find out, and we'll find out if there is any discussion of that in like 10 more hours, because Brandon Cutler, the absolute god that he is probably staying up all night to edit another BTE to drop at noon.
And maybe I know there's no plans on Kenny Omega anytime soon, but you've got to think at some point seeds are being planted. And I think at some point I got to imagine you're getting Kenny and the Bucks versus Cole and Red Dragon, and that's going to be a thing. And
absolutely,
let's keep planting seeds for that too, which is fantastic.
Well, and then even like that, and then not to mention there's been ample interactions between Adam Cole and Jay White and Forbidden Doors like 4 weeks away too. So there's a lot of menu options for what the Undisputed Elite can end up doing over the next several months. So
absolutely.
And then really like with Darby there is too. Like there's still a lot of ways that you can do things with Darby here. I don't know. It wasn't the result I was expecting. It's not a disappointing result. It was like, it's another one of those ones where it was a head scratcher when it first happened. But now that I've like, sat here and discussed it with a person, I'm like, hey, this one isn't as like off the wall zany booking as I thought. That's coming like in a couple more matches. So
yeah, this was not particularly egregious. Neither one was really going to be hurt by a loss here, especially because there wasn't that much build. But like I said, for the reasons that I laid out, I felt like Darby going over was the better call. But that said, it's a mid-card match on a pay-per-view. Let's move on and see what comes next.
Yeah. What came next on the card was our AEW Women's World Championship match, the second title match of the night. We had Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa getting the Thunder Rosa pop. And with, with a building the size of the T-Mobile Arena, it sounded fucking ridiculous. A lot of the people who were in the building that I have on follow had some pretty explicit reactions to the noise level of that pop.
Yes.
And Thunder Rosa got the victory here. This was like this match turned out to be exactly what I thought it was going to be. We had Serena Deeb being a good ass wrestler, Thunder Rosa being a good ass wrestler. One of my favorite AEW women's title matches in a long time. It was really fun to watch this. Really, really fun to watch this. Like I almost would have been okay with Serena Deeb winning here just because of like her wrestling excellence. But I like the statement and legitimacy it gives to Thunder Rosa to have, her first major pay-per-view defense be a victory over somebody with the caliber and clout of Serena Deeb.
Yeah, 100%. Who could have guessed that taking two great wrestlers and putting them in a wrestling match would produce a great wrestling match? And the women weren't in the semi-main death slot.
Yeah.
They got put in a better spot on the card this time, and the build for this was not great. Admittedly, it was not great. It got better as we got closer to the go-home show, but this, and it speaks to what I talked about earlier about very few people, even your women's world champion, being presented as a legit star, and that sort of continued in the build to this. But I ran a poll on my Twitter and as to what would you prefer, a lackluster build with a banger match or an absolutely amazing build with an average match?
I'll take option A all day, thank you.
And that was definitely the runaway winner. Although there were a few that actually went. I want to say it was like probably about two to one thereabouts, maybe in 3-1. But even still, This was a case of the former, definitely. A lackluster build leading to an absolutely phenomenal title match. This was everything we thought it would be. Serena Deeb breaking out all kinds of crazy moves, great counter wrestling, submission wrestling. And I really hope that this is the kickoff to a good reign for Thunder Rosa, who, when she won the title, there was talk that there may have been some injuries involved, that she may not have been 100%. I don't know how true that is, or she might have been working through something.
If there was, it didn't look like it tonight.
But I really hope that this feud can now be the launching pad for her to really just make her mark at this point, because she is so good. The people love her, and let's just see where this can go.
Yeah. And I also, like, Thunder Rosa loves to wrestle. Like, let's let her, be like a fighting champion where we're seeing her. I'd like to see Thunder Rosa defend the title, like on a more regular basis, certainly than like once every 6 weeks or once a month, roughly. It's been,
Yeah.
So
it's been a hot second, but now I wonder where you go from here. You've done Nyla, you've done Deeb. Do you go back to the Brit well already, based on her winning the tournament?
Well,
outside,
that's
where are the heels in your division right now?
Tied up around the TBS title.
It's
like the baddie section is like literally like you're taking basically two of your heels from your women's division and sticking them adjacent to your TBS title holder. So like that, removes their likelihood of being involved in the women's world title picture significantly.
Absolutely.
It's we've got what, like Abaddon, who's like practically like over because she's just a fucking cool ass character.
I haven't even seen her. I haven't even seen her on Dark or anything in weeks.
Do we go Ty Conti? Like, I guess you could go Ty Doobie's healing up now. So
I could see Ty, but there's not a lot there.
By the way, like RIP TJ, that tag team's not going to work now. You got babyface ass Anna Jay and Ty Conti, who's got like nuclear heat now, just because she has a boyfriend. Like, it's a really that's a weird picture to like that. I feel bad. That was a fun ass tag team. They're gone now.
But I guess outside of Brit or Ty,
Layla?
Layla's out. Layla just had knee surgery.
Yeah, she's
probably on the shelf for what, 6 months at least.
Yeah, that's right. I literally just read that too. As soon as I said it, I'm like, wait, no, fuck. Like, oh man, I feel like that it's not a good sign that I have to pull up the roster sheet to want to like think about where this year, the title picture goes. That's But looking down the rest of the roster, where you've got like Chris is a face, the new arrival Tony Storm is a face, new arrival Athena is a face. Okay, so we could get like maybe some. Hey, you know what? Let's circle back. Ruby Soho got almost booed out of the building when she beat Chris Statlander on Friday night, and she's going to be bitter that she lost to Brit. Some angry Ruby Soho healing it up, maybe.
Maybe, but I mean, at this point, how can you justify Ruby getting a shot?
Yeah, that's the thing. It goes back to the Ruby loses in all the key moments thing, and that was completely avoidable. Like,
and this is a situation that could have been avoided in advance by giving the women more time, better featured time, and letting other stars thrive beyond Brit and Jade.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is now an opportunity for Thunder Rosa to to do this and to really make her mark as well. And before we move on, I wanted to point out that on her entrance gear, Thunder Rosa had the big heart in the center of her gear with the message for Uvalde, for the victims of the school shooting this past week. And as we reported on Bodyslam during the show, Thunder Rosa made mention of wanting to auction the gear that she wore in the ring tonight, with the proceeds going to the families of the victims at Uvalde in order to help pay for funeral expenses for the victims in that horrific incident. So shout out to Thunder Rosa for representing that beleaguered city at this point.
Yeah. Well, and she's from San Antonio. I believe it's just outside. So that's,
about an hour, I believe.
Yeah. Rated home for her. I'm just going to move on to the next match. I pulled up the women's roster sheet, but we'll end on that nice note for this match. So the next matchup, we have Anarchy in the Arena. My wife brought me
is about to go down.
Shit is oh my god, Justin Roberts with his best announcement ever as a ring announcer.
That popped me so hard.
My wife brought me a snack about a half hour before this match, and like I am convinced she laced it with mushrooms, because what the fuck did I watch for like 20 minutes here? It was just like
you listened to Wild Thing about 4 times through.
Oh, that was the fucking best thing ever. That like I felt like I was watching like a weird spin-off sequel of Roadhouse or something. Like you got Wild Thing playing in the arena on loop about 4 or 5 times until, also very nice touch though, like having Jericho break the soundboard and that's what cuts the song. That was really, really like, yeah, that was genius. There is dumb shit happening all over this match.
I mean, my Code of Honor podcast co-host Kylie Fuller was out there in Las Vegas for this show, and I believe she tweeted something in all caps of, "Why is Wild Thing still playing?" and I replied to her in some Twitter and said, "Because anarchy."
It's true though. I'm actually sad the soundboard got destroyed. I wanted that thing to just play for the whole match, but like seeing where the match led towards the, like, it was so lighthearted at the top of the match, and then it got fucking morbid near the end for a minute there.
Straight but dark.
Yeah. So, the beginning part though, brawling all over the arena, Daddy Magic gave himself one of the gnarliest blade jobs. Like that, he was just gushing.
It was bad.
Eddie Kingston was covered in his blood, which just only served the visual of him walking to the ring with a gas can that much better. But
we'll get to that.
But he did cover a man in mustard first, and then get in a fight in an elevator.
Important things. And I got my wife happened to walk in. I forget at what point. It was towards the end, and somebody made a point about Bryan Danielson's shirt just being covered, and I said, yeah, and that was white when it started. And she just looked at the screen and went, "Oh God."
Yeah, it's gonna get bad when like everyone's wearing white. You're like, they wore white for a reason.
Something like 8 of the 10 of them. I think Santana and Ortiz were the only ones who didn't actually wear white.
Shout out Santana and Ortiz, by the way. They made this match for me for like a good part of it. I tweeted out that, I'm not going to go find it, but to paraphrase my tweet, it was, your street fight has 100% chance of being awesome if Santana and Ortiz are involved in it.
Yes.
Like,
these are facts.
Santana Ortiz should just exclusively have tag team street fights, but also like as champions, because like, yeah, for also like set him free. We got him out of the inner circle and then just stuck him back
Can this
in
be done?
Table shit. But moving on from that, the double ladder dive, the street sweeper with the tope into the street sweeper over the fucking
through the tables
to the outside. Santana or John Moxley fucking undid the top rope, which I was like, hey, hang on, we got 2 matches left. That's a weird idea. I guess we're getting some segments after this.
And shout out to the ring crew for getting that changed. They changed the canvas and put the top rope back on with a quickness.
Yeah, like
they were 2 very short interview segments, and it was brand new.
Not even
shout out to the ring crew for that. They don't get recognized as much.
Not even 10 minutes. Like not even 10 minutes changeover after this match. Which I really thought I was gonna do decently on my predictions, but oh wait, no, I did do decently on my predictions on this one. That's right.
We both called JAS.
We both called JAS. I actually, what I was gonna say was I didn't do too great on my predictions tonight, but I did really good on my predictions for this match. Not only did I predict the win, but and there's footage to support this. I all the way to the Eddie and Danielson, their heat costing their team the match like that. And let's hope the rest of my prediction was right, and that we get this kind of similar match run back with an extra ring and a big old fucking cage involved.
I gotta think it's going to be something similar to that. Although I wonder if Danielson being involved in the finish might signify more of a pivot toward the Blackpool Combat Club, who does have Wheeler Yuta. There are other people that have been making rumors, like Lee Moriarty, but
so
I don't know. Let's talk about Eddie Kingston.
Well, real quick, actually, before we move on from that, actually, with the math of the members. So this match, had Wheeler Yuta been not in Best of Super Junior, we would have had a 6 versus 5 here. If this does happen again, I feel like maybe they blow it off for a little bit, and we come back to this maybe around July when Wheeler Yuta would be around, but perhaps a Mr. Danielson is in the G1. And then, Blackpool and LAX have, a combination of 5 again if a Mr. Danielson happens to be, say in Japan for a really cool tournament. Which, like, either way, I don't even care. Like, if this ties into Blood and Guts or anything, I hope you're fucking sending Bryan Danielson to Japan for the G1 this year. Anyway, moving on from that, let's talk about Eddie Kingston now. Holy shit! We had
the promo on the buy-in where he said that he's falling back into the bottle because of what Jericho is doing to him, because what Jericho is making him want to do to Jericho. And this dude came strolling down the entrance ramp with a dead look in his eyes, carrying a can of gasoline. And oh my goodness, this turned into something that, like, we almost had a snuff film.
I was like, okay, hang on. We've had some scary fire spots in the world of wrestling lately, so
this turned into, like, we're gonna have to have some kind of a Kingston Jericho blow off, obviously, where I can't imagine what's going to happen. It's going to be bad news, but it also led to the obvious Bryan Danielson involvement of one. He straight up said in the build, if I had to pick somebody between Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston, I'd probably pick Chris Jericho. And this kind of turned its head there in what I felt like was a pretty decent way. I don't love the can they coexist? Can they, get along trope? It's been done to death, but I feel like it worked here because it was this idea of Kingston being so consumed with literally murdering Chris Jericho live on pay-per-view that Danielson himself had to step up and go, no, this is not what this is about. It's about winning. It's about wrestling.
Yeah.
And so we'll see where this goes from here.
Yeah, that was, oh my, I don't even know what to say about this match. Like but the whole, like Eddie Kingston makes me wish that like other people just don't talk anymore. Like I feel it's like watching Darby Allin do a tope suicida. It's like you see a couple Eddie Kingston promos and you're like, why do other people even try to cut promos? Just like, just get Eddie Kingston to talk for you. Eddie Kingston should be like a mercenary mouthpiece. Like, but yeah, the whole morbid gas can element towards the end of the match was the scene of him walking to the ring with that thing is like that's one of the most God, English is so hard when it's 2:30 in the morning. That's an epic photo. Like that one's gonna be everywhere for eternity.
That was dark because it was just a dead-eyed, cold stare as he walked to the ring. Like this was bad.
All-time image. He's like a serial killer, like just stalking a victim. It was insane. Him being covered in Daddy Magic's blood, the whole just the visual was stunning. Like actual. Yeah. I was actually like I gasped audibly.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see where they go to from here. There's got to be a next step with this. We're obviously gonna continue. We're not gonna leave it off there.
Yeah, planted a lot of seeds here for sure. Planted a lot of seeds. Like there's this match led to a fork in the road, and there's a lot of different ways that we can be going here. We have the Danielson and Eddie Kingston history going back to Full Gear.
Mm-hmm. We've got to finish off Kingston and Jericho.
Yeah.
And then we have the broader,
Oh, sorry, I said Danielson and Kingston at Full Gear. You know what I mean, though.
Yes.
Not Full Gear, but
no.
Around the same time. Yeah, JAS pick up the win. Don't know when. Yeah, I feel like we're not going to see a couple of those guys on Dynamite anytime soon, necessarily. Though
probably not.
There were some beatdowns laid in that one. I'd also like to see what happens with like Proud and Proud and Powerful. They were one of the best parts of this match, but like I feel so I was so happy when I was like the whole dissolution of the Inner Circle. I was like, oh cool, now we can get some Santana or Ortiz going off on their own and doing tag team things. And then it was like, okay, you're with Eddie Kingston now, which is still cool. Like if you're gonna stick them with anyone, like that is
who is still feuding with Chris Jericho.
Yeah, but then now you just have you freed Santana and Ortiz from the side of Chris Jericho, and now they're just opposite Chris Jericho. They can work with other people, please.
Yeah, I worry that they've sort of wasted the hot period for Santana and Ortiz, and there was a point where they were an obvious candidate to take the belts off Jurassic Express, or maybe even the Lucha Brothers.
Mm-hmm. That was my expectation, honestly, more than anything, was that not that Jurassic Express would have won those titles at that Battle of the Belts, but like at Revolution, we could have got P&P beating the Lucha Bros for the belts. Because like if and now like obviously, so they did go with a day one team still in Jurassic Express, but like as far as next ups go, it almost makes me happy. It almost makes me kind of happy that the tag titles didn't change. Let's move into the tag title match while we're talking about the tag titles anyway, because
smooth segue.
I'm kind of glad the tag titles maybe didn't change hands in this match because but I am I'm not. I'm still kind of disappointed. Their tag titles are such a I feel like this has to be the hardest championship in this company to book because there's a case for so many fucking teams to hold them that you almost have to hot potato these belts around a little bit just to kind of give as many of the teams that probably should have a run with these belts a run with these belts. Jurassic Express retaining, okay, I feel like their day is numbered. They got to be losing them pretty soon.
I would certainly think so.
I thought tonight was going to be the night. Let's go back to our predictions here real quick because we both actually predicted new champions tonight, but we predicted different new champions tonight.
Yes.
I was in the we don't normally hot shot titles in AEW onto people who are relatively newer within the company necessarily, or with such a short build as a team. But Swerve and Keith Lee, it's they just reek of awesomeness. The charisma they have between the two of them, their teamwork, the crazy double team shit they do, because this, believe it or not, folks, this isn't the first time they've tagged with each other. These dudes know how to be a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
They really, I think I just want them to have the belts so I can see them do the Spirit Bomb double stomp as often as humanly possible. It might be my favorite tag team move on the planet right now.
I think
you were on the Team Taz side of things, which also I would have been just as okay with them winning it because
my logic for going with Team Taz was I don't believe they've ever actually been beaten yet in a tag team match. I could be off on that, but I don't believe they've ever actually been beaten in a tag match.
I don't know that for sure, but
they didn't fall tonight either.
They did mention in their Hey EW interview that it's been 540 days undefeated as a tag team. So I don't know if that means that it's been 540 days since their loss, or is 540 days ago the first time they teamed together. I feel like it would be the first time they teamed together because that would put it back into that would put us back into around the time when Hobbs actually
started to become a thing.
Joined Team Taz
close to 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he didn't do much teaming with Ricky Starks until Brian Cage was out of the picture. So they very well could be an undefeated tag team.
I'm pretty certain of that. I'd have to fact check it to be completely sure, but I'm almost positive they have never lost a tag match as Hobbs and Starks. So that, to me, it felt like this is their opportunity to recognize a team that is excellent, is flying under the radar, has two major surefire stars, and who has absolutely put in the work. And Team Taz has lost an awful lot of important matches as well. I mean, Starks has defended the FTW championship a number of times, but they've both had TNT championship matches. They've both had. There have been. I'm trying to remember if either of them had AEW World Championship matches. I know Cage did when he was part of Team Taz still, but in any event, they've had opportunities here and haven't really come up in big in the clutch either. So this felt like a good opportunity to rectify that and give Team Taz a much needed big win.
Mm-hmm.
So, and likewise, I would not have complained about Swerve and Keith Lee winning the tag titles either, because they're a phenomenal team. And I mean, let's be real, everything about Swerve Scott Strickland. God, almost went there. Everything about Swerve Strickland screams star.
Yeah.
And
so
oh my
much
God.
so to the point though where it's like I'd almost prefer a singles title on him just for, but then the tag team chemistry and the dynamic between Swerve and Keith Lee, the double team, like they use the big guy, little guy. And I use the term little guy like loosely because Swerve is fucking tall and he's, you know, not a string bean by any measure, but like everybody looks like a junior heavyweight next to Keith Lee, even Luchasaurus in this match.
Yeah.
I actually tweeted that. There was that double choke slam where Luchasaurus grabbed Keith Lee and Hobbs for the double choke slam, and then they grabbed his throat. And at that moment, I was like, man, Hobbs and Keith Lee make Luchasaurus look like a junior heavyweight. Like, just the size. He looked tiny compared to those dudes. Which, again, though, and Hobbs and Starks have a lot of that same dynamic. Like, they use the, like, big, powerful dude, and then the more, like, agile, you know, I don't want to say high flyer, but like definitely risk takers. That moonsault that Swerve did to the outside, where he based on, like, Keith Lee based the moonsault for him, that was just fucking bonkers.
It was ridiculous. And I want to call out just before that spot, we had a very scary bump for Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
Where he got tossed to the apron and it looked like somebody swept his leg or something, or was supposed to go for a move. I don't know what it was, but he came down on high on the shoulders, back of the neck, and for somebody who just came back from neck problems, like,
yeah, he literally
every single part of me cringed.
Yeah, that honestly, like, that happened at Revolution with him too, when Wardlow power bombed him onto the ladder from the ladder. It's like, what? Like, can we, like, just not do neck bumps to Ricky Starks, please? Like, can we? I know the one tonight wasn't exact, like, that wasn't the planned spot,
right?
But you know what I mean, like just, you know, whoever's controlling the gravity, can we make it so, like, Ricky Starks can land more flat backed? Like,
yeah, please. This guy's a future world champion. Can we please not break him?
Absolutely. No pun intended on that. Fuck. God damn it. Yeah, this was a great match up until the 3 count, I think, for me. And then I was, you know, it was just it was a question mark. And AEW has they've earned my benefit of the doubt.
Agree.
Because of, there's been times like this before. Now, never so many times in a single show, but there's been times like this before where I've been, you know, I've hit the people's eyebrow a couple times at the result of a match, but they've never dropped the ball with how they went about handling it, with maybe an asterisk or two of, it took them longer to resolve that point than I would have liked, but that was more so storyline things and less so like booking things. So I'm not going to give them too much shit on it. But again, with Team Taz being so, like, I feel like they're never not hot. They're always hot. Like, they seem to just perpetually be over, even though they're supposed to be heels in the first place. They're always like, they still get featured prominently. And then, you know, Swerve and Keith Lee, it's just like, this, you know, this goes back to the Ruby thing, kind of the iron was really hot, like, would have been a good time to strike with it. Because now, what do we do? Like, maybe we get some, like, a singles tag title match with Jurassic Express and Swerve and Keith Lee, where we get Hobbs. I would like Hobbs and Starks, since neither of them ate the pin in this match, to kind of get the, hey, you didn't beat us, you beat them, you know what I mean? Let's do this 2-on-2. Maybe we can change the title there. Like, I feel like if we're talking like next up, I feel like I would have, as much as I'd like to say Proud and Powerful, I don't know when they're ever going to be in like an actual true tag team match ever again, possibly. So like, if I had to,
but it'll be a street fight.
Yeah, hey, if it is a street fight, fucking sign me up though. But if I have to think of another next up, I would, like Team Taz, I guess, would be like my go-to in terms of they've put in the work. They've been reliable beyond reliable, banger matches every time. It seems like you don't even have to necessarily stick them on TV on a regular basis. And when they show up, everyone loves the fact that they're there. So yeah, like we got to go somewhere with these tag titles, I think, besides Jurassic Express.
I agree with you that you've got Team Taz as an obvious candidate. Here's another one that I'll throw out at you based on tonight's action as well.
Oh, okay.
Kings of the Black Throne.
I put an asterisk on that one because I do think there is gold in their future, but since there's 3 of them, I think that gold would involve a trios title.
I couldn't even say when that's actually coming. If Tony is seriously waiting for Kenny to come back before doing it, and there are no plans right now for him, then strap up Kings of the Black Throne too, because my goodness.
Well, that's the thing too. If you're waiting for Kenny to come back, then like you kind of are almost playing your hand that you don't really want to put those titles on someone else.
Right. I only say it because that's all I've heard at this point regarding those titles.
Exactly. But if you're waiting for Kenny to come back for those, like, I get it. You'll have, the team of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks is a trios team. You're going to get like insane, that'll be some great matches to get interest in that division. But like,
absolutely, that
doesn't mean that. Think of all the amazing trios you have. You literally have Death Triangle, House of Black. You could do P&P with Eddie Kingston, even. Honestly, shit.
Blackpool Combat Club.
Jurassic Express and Christian, if you move the tag titles elsewhere. Team Taz. Hook.
Yeah.
Hook wrestles very well, actually.
Cole and Red Dragon.
Yeah, there's you could keep going. the waiting for Kenny to come back just to do like trios titles, not to mention like you own ROH and they literally have fucking existing trios titles. You've used every other
which last I was aware are currently being held by
Impact
a guy in Impact.
Yeah,
not all of them. I mean, Vincent showed up in Impact, but Bateman hasn't, to my knowledge, and neither has
Dutch. Yeah, Dutch and Bateman, right?
Neither has Dutch.
Yeah, no. The last I've seen them working some indies in like West Coast Pro and they've been on the West Coast, but yeah. So
like they're your ROH trios champions, and I'm not sure they've even been a trio since ROH dissolved. I'm not sure they've teamed at all.
I don't think they have.
And actually. We don't need to get into my not being happy about Vincent and Mike Bennett being on and Matt Taven, I'm sorry, being in the same group in Impact Wrestling as far after their feud, but we don't have to go there.
Yeah.
Point being, Kings of the Black Throne I think would make excellent challengers. I'd love to see them in Jurassic Express. I think it'd be fantastic. Mm-hmm. But realistically, yes, I think Team Taz is an excellent choice for next man up.
Yeah. The only reason I think the other reason I'm just like, no, not Kings of the Black Throne is because then it's like, but Buddy Matthews. You know what? Actually, Buddy Matthews. Give me Buddy Matthews and Scorpio Sky. Give me that
Oh,
match.
that's good. Oh,
Give me
I
that.
like that.
Give me that match. Honestly, give me Buddy Matthews just fucking wrestling everybody. Just make him the Rampage guy for the next little while, where you just give him singles matches with all the guys that'll match up well with him, and give him those give him those 10-minute Rampage bangers.
When he comes back, I want Buddy Matthews and Kenny Omega.
Oh fuck. Oh god. Yes, please. Please. Shit. Get Buddy Matthews a night. Oh, never mind. Never mind. I was gonna say I'd like to see him challenge Hangman Page for the world title. Let's get to the last.
Getting to that. About that.
So I wanted to keep this show to about half the length we've run to already, but there was 13 matches to get through, and that's just not going to physically fucking happen. So, you know what?
Sorry, I tangent sometimes. Sorry.
No. It's the card length. Like, I could have talked myself for almost 2 hours about this card. I'm glad we made it. I'm glad we got this far in this amount of time.
Well, we wanted Game 7 to be over before the main event went on, and it was.
Yeah, actually, an anecdote I read on the timeline tonight is that Game 7 ended just prior to the start of Anarchy in the Arena. So
sounds about right.
Whoever was managing time for the card tonight, because literally this back 3 matches of the card was probably the best consecutive stretch of the show. Which is, it's kind of what you want. You want to end with, you want to start with a bang, which you did, if you count MJF banging his back off the mat 10 times, the bang. And then you ended with a fucking huge bang. Anarchy in the Arena, that disgusting, tag triple threat. And then the kickoff of another summer of Punk.
CM Punk is a world champion in the year of our Lord 2022.
Yep.
What is reality right now?
If there was ever a match to call a coin flip on this card, I feel like this match, looking at trying to fantasy book this one, there's so many different ways we could have finish this match, directions we could go with the result of this match, no matter which way it happened. This was truly coin flip in a way of, I understand the argument of, you solidify Hangman as your most dominant champion with the caliber of opponents he's bested to defend the title, and also to win it in the first place. But then also CM, this is, I think, where we're going to see the start of a CM Punk that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. And I'm not just talking about in 7 years, but I'm talking about in 17 years. This is definitely going to be an interesting summer.
I said in the lead up to this that I was very intrigued with either option, because the way that both characters were going into it, you either had CM Punk, who, after not being sure of himself and where he was at, has finally now convinced himself, I can do this still. I can compete at this level. I am good enough to do this. I deserve to be here. And he fails. He's finally convinced himself he's ready, and he can't do it. He got into Hangman's head, and he can't finish the job. Or, and what does that do to him? Or you have Hangman, who's going in as confident as he has ever been. There is no anxiety. There is no depression. There is no alcohol. There is no anything. Hangman is laser focused and as good as he has ever been, and feels like he is defending AEW itself from this snake. And what if he fails? What does that do to him? You know, and in both cases, that was going to be a fascinating dynamic to tackle. And now we know which one we get to see.
Mhm.
Because the hyper confident Hangman came up short. And what is that going to do to his psyche?
To add to that too, you know, because ever since he won the world title, minus a brief few interactions here and there, Hangman's been kind of more of a lone wolf since winning the title. So like, now that he's lost his world championship, who does he have to like fall back on for support? Like the what is this doing to him and his psyche? It's a really it's gonna be like both, honestly, like both really like both trajectories from the result of this match are gonna be so intriguing to follow for the next little while of like what happens with Hangman now that he's lost the title. Is he going to be able to count on his Dark Order buddies to kind of like support him in his defeat and his I'm surely he's going to downward spiral off of this one. Like we saw some interaction between him and the Young Bucks in his defeat of Kenny Omega, and even a couple like backstage segments here and there. So like, can he maybe rely on his even oldest and original friends to help him maybe pick up the pieces and find the old Hangman again? What kind of world champion is CM Punk going to be is what I'm interested in out of this too. Is like,
absolutely,
is he going to be Reign of Terror, like, haha, fuck you, I'm back, CM Punk? Or is he actually still going to be like touchy-feely? It feels so great. I knew I had this in me. It feels so good to be back. And, like just to feel good about my, like, I there is definitely some wool to be pulled back on CM Punk here. And
absolutely,
that's like that's just as intriguing to me as the fallout of Hangman is what CM Punk does as the champion. And
100%.
I'd love to know if you have a theory on this at all.
I was waiting for Punk to grab the microphone after this match, but on some level the show had already run so long that I kind of get where they went with that. But I feel like at this point you almost have to do the heel turn and let the mask fall.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've now had MJF who said it, and yes, MJF's a heel and this, that, and the other, and you've had Eddie Kingston say it, and you've had Adam Page say it. At some point, you have to deliver on all of these teases, that all these people who say that Punk's not who he says he is.
He has to get exposed somehow.
Yeah. And realistically, as a character, now that you've got the belt, you've got your objective, there is no need for that mask anymore. I would not be shocked, and I linked it on my Twitter early in the day. So you'd have to scroll back through a lot of live tweets to find it. But I linked to a YouTube video of the promo from Death Before Dishonor 3. The one that MJF referenced during the build of the dog collar match, the I'm a Snake Old Man promo that Punk cut after winning the ROH world title. And like, I can't help but feel like we're going to get some version of that.
Yeah.
Of I used you, I played on your sympathies, I did everything I had to do to get this. And he doesn't have anywhere to go, so he doesn't have that threat like he did in the previous 2 iterations of the so-called Summer of Punk in ROH and WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But this feels like where the next logical step is for Punk to go.
No, it's not so much a matter of if, it's definitely a matter of when, in terms of when does the snake bite. What I'm interested in too is like, who's the snake going to bite first? Because now we have CM Punk as the world champion. Who do we want to see step up to the plate to see? I like the notion of I like the notion of now, CM Punk has this title. He's going to start, being more of the Punk that he's been accused of, behind the curtain. How, like, in his reign of terror, who's going to be like who's going to be? I'd have to. I don't. I'd feel like it's going to be another like AEW mainstay, like a long term. We're gonna have some AEW originals or early signings to be like wanting to defend the kingdom and kind of get the crown back, so to speak.
Here's a name I'll toss out. Mox.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones I was thinking. Actually, yeah, I like that.
Mox is an obvious one. I'm very leery. I know a lot of people will instantly go to straight edge heel Punk, and go with Moxley there. It feels like a kind of a dirty shortcut to do that, especially because of the fact that the promo that Punk cut after Moxley came back of asking for help being the bravest thing you can ever do, and the respect and everything else. Like to then turn that into fodder for for straight edge heel Punk feels
cheap.
A little dirty, and frankly a little below what I would hope AEW would do.
It's way too low hanging fruit.
But that being said, Mox of course has long history with AEW. He debuted at the first Double or Nothing 3 years ago.
It's my favorite AEW champion still.
And so that's an obvious answer right there. It seems like a rite of passage for every new AEW champion to face Lance Archer at some point.
Probably in a Texas death match. At a Texas show.
So I wouldn't complain about Punk and Archer. I think that'd be a lot of fun. In a different way than a lot of his matches have been thus far.
I'd like some of Punk's defeated foes from his some of his first matches, like Darby. I feel like if anyone, like, I don't want to already book Punk's title loss, but
I think I know where you're going. I think it's the exact same.
Oh yeah, the Mad King.
100%. That is absolutely where I would book the title loss.
Yeah.
And then I would have Kingston lose it in his first or second defense. Because that's the kind of shit that he gets as a character.
The bad luck of Eddie King. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But moving back to Punk challengers, shit, that's so funny, man. We just skipped right to how's he going to lose the title? Fuck. But no, I'm just pulling it because if I'm thinking former opponents, obviously Darby Allin would be someone who Darby and Darby hasn't had a world title shot in a long time. I think he had a title shot against Moxley. I don't think he never got one against Kenny.
No, or Page. So no, I think Mox was the last one.
Yeah, so he's I'd like to see Darby get a title opportunity, a rematch against Punk. That would be that'd be a fun one. I wouldn't mind. Honestly, Will Hobbs too. They had that great Grand Slam match. obviously, I don't think any of these people are taking the title off of Punk, but like some AEW OGs stepping up to the plate to stop the reign of terror of CM Punk.
Before we forget about him, Miro.
Oh fuck yes. I feel, man, I love Miro, but having not seen him on my TV for so long, and the just ridiculous depth of the men's roster of AEW, I'm just like, until somebody mentions him, I'm just like, oh yeah, Miro. And
which got even deeper tonight with the addition of Roosh.
Oh, we didn't even. Yeah, we fucking skipped right over
that. Right before the tag title match. That was one of the vignettes. Andrade welcomed Los Ingobernables partner and former two-time Ring of Honor World Champion Roosh into AEW.
There's a fun match for CM Punk just to have a good ass match, or Scorpio Sky, honestly. Like
or literally anyone. Roosh is so flipping talented, and oh man,
yeah, Roosh is gonna have some just sick matches in AEW. Like, also gets me wondering if anybody else from Los Ingobernables might be coming to join that party.
Oh man.
Feels like a matter of time, honestly.
I want to know if this has anything to do, if there could be anything significant to Forbidden Door here.
Yes.
Can we get like Andrade,
Naito,
and Naito in like a trios match against?
Oh my god.
Let's see. Although the alignments would be all over the place at this point, with Andrade's faction being heel.
Chaos, Rocky Trent, Rocky Trent, yo.
Goto.
Yeah, Goto, true. Toriano.
The Sublime Master Thief.
Yeah.
I'd want Yano against somebody who's a much more serious opponent. Yano works so well as with somebody else to work as a straight man.
I want the tag team of Janhausen. I want fucking and
Yano in a really shoddy version of the face paint.
Or give me like give me like Danhausen against like, I don't know, Yano, and just put him with someone serious. Like, give me that dynamic.
Although we're getting off touch here, but I will say, Punk versus Okada. Do you do champion versus champion?
That's a tough one, because
I'm not sure that I want to do that, and I'm not sure that Punk and Okada could go 60 minutes. I think Okada could. I'm still not sure that Punk can.
Yeah, and that's definitely not a title change. Like,
it's been more than 15 years since the last time Punk did a Broadway.
Yeah, and that's not going to be a title change match if they do it. So like, you have to go the distance with it, or do the the non-title, but we'll see who's champion can beat who's like that. That doesn't feel like the magnitude of something they'd go with for that if they were to do it.
Yeah.
So
I'm also just excited because I'll be at Forbidden Door, so I want to see what that turns into.
Yeah, like touching on that real quick, like with the whole United Empire run-in and that FTR Roppongi Vice match, like that's where I think the Ring of Honor title is really kind of like come in handy, because you could totally drop an ROH title to someone from New Japan. Like Minoru Suzuki already held the TV title once this year, so
yeah,
but yeah, back to this match. Let's talk about that. Yeah, it was interesting that because I thought with like the Chekhov's title sitting in the corner there, it was like who make the play to pick that up. I was almost certain Punk would have been actually the one, like if he was going to win that he would have just gone for the title belt shot, been like, fuck, I'm having a hard time putting this guy away. Time to pull the snake fangs out and take a bite with the world title. And it was actually interesting that it was like Hangman's indecision on whether or not he wanted to take that extra measure is what cost him the title inevitably.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice. I won't say bad because honestly, I still need some time to ruminate on it. But I like in principle the idea of Hangman being so driven to eradicate Punk that he would go there. You know, that's I appreciate that as a character beat, but I'm intrigued to see where they go with it by that indecision being what cost him the title.
Yeah. And it speaks to the character of Hangman Page too, though. The like, he always does, like, in a lot of his actions, always seem to have that like level of questioning himself and his and indecision to his choices. So for that to actually end up ultimately being what costs him his title, it's going to be like kind of interesting to see how he goes about trying to find himself, like where or is he gonna just keep falling down into the negative, or is he gonna try to how quickly will he pick himself back up?
Yeah, and I don't think it's something that we discussed in the build to this was the possibility that Hangman goes heel.
I'd considered it, but it didn't last in my brain for very much
That
longer than a passing thought, because I like all signs pointed to Punk's the snake. He's Punk's the snake. Punk's the snake. But
that the reason that that the lesson that he's going to take away from it is, Cobra Kai, no mercy. And
yep, his attempts at nobility are what cost him in the first place. Fuck it, all bets are off now.
Yeah, and it was, again, I've seen a number of people make the connection. I made it as well, that very Hart Piper at WrestleMania 8.
Ooh, yeah.
Roddy Piper had the ring bell, had the chance to brain Bret Hart with the referee down. He chose not to do it. He decided instead to go for his sleeper that was essentially his finish at the time. Mm-hmm. Bret reverses it, gets the pinfall, wins the match.
Yeah.
Hangman was Roddy Piper, and Punk was Bret Hart.
Well, if you want to even go that far with it too, it actually, like Hangman had the title belt, went to use it, decided to go for his buckshot lariat. CM Punk reversed it at the GTS. So, like, as much as Hangman didn't want a masturbatory Bret Hart tribute, like
they're
kind like the end of that. I almost feel like that was exactly, they said Piper Hart WrestleMania 8 almost on that one. Like,
yeah, and we don't really have a roadmap as to where that went from there, because Piper was never really heel again pretty much from that point on. He didn't spend too much, as I recall, he didn't have that much more time left in WWE.
Mm-hmm. The not using the bell kind of like won him sympathy as well.
He went to WCW, where he was a babyface there.
Yeah.
So we don't really have a roadmap as to how that worked out after the fact. Bret continued to be the babyface there, and
which I doubt is the case for CM Punk at all.
Yeah,
but
I certainly wouldn't think so. But
if I've learned anything though from like watching AEW and this show in particular, it's they do be likened to not stick to your conventional intuition on how things are going to play out. Like, for all we know, CM Punk actually is a very happy-go-lucky champion still for a bit, and then like just keeps that mask on. He has no reason to.
That's
But
where I struggle.
it'd be
because
interesting to see if he does and what his motivations are for staying that way.
that's where I'm at as well, where it's there's no reason for this to continue, and I don't think you center 3 full feuds around this guy's a jerk and you can't trust him unless there was some broader hand in play, or there's going to be a reveal of surprise, you're right, I was an asshole the whole time.
Yeah.
That feels like it has to be the end point. Otherwise, what have we been doing for these last 3 feuds?
Yeah. It's one of those, it's a matter of when and not if. But the when is, the when is like, it's very intriguing. And how is it going to, how is that when going to play out? Like, is it going to be a him, he just cuts a promo and, just decides to do it in the middle of a promo kind of thing, or like, take his promo in that direction? Or will it be like at the hands of his first challenger? Again, like, who's his first challenger? It's such a...
To me, it feels like the best move you can do is turn him on Wednesday in California, first thing. Have him cut the snake promo, get it out of the way, and feed it into the typical, nobody can stop me. And
somebody's going to walk out and be like, I'll stop you, motherfucker.
You know what? How about this? Give me Joe.
Yo. Yeah.
Give me Joe. Punk is...
Actually,
Punk
what?
turns, Punk cuts his promo, he's living high on the hog, he's feeling great, and here comes the one guy that he could never, ever beat.
Exactly. And, and if he's gonna ever beat him, like defending his world title, that man, I'm so happy you're here, Kyle. But like, especially particularly because of the landscape of AEW, not just with Tony Khan owning ROH now, but the landscape of AEW just with the amount of ROH history that is in the locker room. Mm-hmm. It's having your encyclopedia of ROH here has been really insightful to the discussion of these matches and results.
It's great. I love to have this be a thing that we can do, that we can talk about, and that can be referenced. It was heavily referenced during the MJF feud, and I love that we have a home for this history now, and I'm so excited to see it continue.
And it gets acknowledged and brought up regularly. Like, it's not ignored, at all.
100%. And hey, listen to the Code of Honor podcast. We're usually on Mondays at 3. We weren't able to record this week because Kylie is in Las Vegas, but we're usually on Mondays at 3 on Bodyslam YouTube channel. So more ROH history is happening all the time. And by all means, tune in. We'll talk about it.
Hell yeah. I don't really have anything else to go on here with the show. I guess just to kind of circle back on my overall thoughts. It's not as having somebody to have, kind of think out loud with and bounce things off of really, it adds some perspective to some of the things that I saw tonight that had me questioning the decision making. But one, it felt good to not be alone in my thoughts on a lot of these things, but also two, a lot of the the more shocking elements of some of the booking tonight actually kind of made more sense having had the chance to kind of think out loud and, you know, mix some ideas together in a bowl with you.
Yeah, no, and you know, go off on a few different tangents, a few different weird directions, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely want to. Yeah, definitely want to get together with you on some kind of show again, because I feel like there's. I could probably talk to you for a while longer still, if it wasn't
I would welcome that.
3:30 in the morning already.
I would
Holy.
absolutely welcome that. Yeah. As far as final thoughts, it was a weird show. A lot of
Mhm.
odd decisions that even if I can understand the logic, I'm not sure that this was the best choice. Um, all the in-ring stuff delivered pretty much top to bottom. Um, Interesting is going to be the best way that I can say it. A lot of sometimes when you don't grasp the booking decisions, they're either sometimes you're just not sure what's around the corner,
Mhm.
and maybe there'll be something great around the corner, maybe not, and maybe this will go down as a show full of missed opportunities. You know, like you said earlier, they've kind of earned the right to have the benefit of the doubt, um, albeit not so many times in one show. But you know, let's see where this goes. The top of the card is going to be very, very interesting with CM Punk on top. So
Mhm.
let's see what happens.
All right, Kyle. Let these people know where they can find you, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at Kyle K Sparks. I was live tweeting Double or Nothing tonight. Obviously, I live tweet Rampage and Dynamite whenever possible, which is usually most weeks. Um, Outside of other occasional other shows that I happen to be watching or things that I happen to be doing, I co-host, I should say, the Code of Honor podcast on Bodyslam here. We usually air Mondays at 3 p.m. with my co-host Kylie Fuller, who is absolutely fantastic. I'm not at all jealous that she is in Las Vegas tonight. Um,
Who would want to be there?
Absolutely. So you can follow that. You can follow the show there at Code of Honor Cast, or follow the Twitter feed there for any announcements, guests. Our DMs are open there. If you have anything else Ring of Honor related you'd like to hear us discuss, we put a lot of work into the show, so we're very happy with it. Um, Outside of that, pretty much anything I do is going to be promoted on my Twitter, whether that's guest spots, other places, post shows, anything else. Twitter's where to find me.
Wonderful. And myself, of course, you can find me at Mr. Purple TV on Twitter, or twitch.tv/Mr. Purple. I stream video games like once a week. Here on Bodyslam, though, I host the Indeed show every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a very special episode coming up this week. Got Cole Radrick joining me for an interview. We're going to talk about his 8 matches that he wrestled in 3 days in Las Vegas this weekend. He had a obscenely good match in a scramble the weekend prior at that wild GCW LA show. He's in Tournament of Survival, which is next weekend, so got a lot to talk to him about. I produce GCW Weekly. Watch that Tuesdays at 6 p.m. here on Bodyslam. You won't see me on screen. Instead, you'll see Righteous Reg, who does much better at this job than I do. And he'll be talking all about GCW. I'll just be sitting in the background, pulling up some tweets and changing some overlays. And outside of that, BodyslamNet on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. Find us on Facebook. Just search bodyslam.net, and you'll see our logo. It's the one in the middle of the screen down there. Kyle's links, my links, Code of Honor's links, all the Bodyslam links are in the YouTube video description below. Click them, follow them. We'll see you around. Hope you have a good evening, everybody. Peace out.